Let me think. I mean, I've always been really interested in character-driven dramas. I think that for me, I love films that really focus on one character and one or two characters, and you just get to spend a lot of time in their world, and kind of just learn about them. And I think films that kind of portray, kind of realistic and kind of in characters in kind of a naturalistic way, I think it's really compelling. It's this really amazing window into other people's lives that I'm really fascinated by. And Nick, our lead actor, is one of my best friends and also my roommate in Los Angeles. And he and I had been talking about working together for quite a while. And at a certain point, we just thought, like, let's just work together, like, now. Like, now's the time, And so I kind of started with trying to think about what I think Nick, just as a person, even before he's as an actor, what's he really good at. He's very, very, very charismatic storyteller. But I'm also, for a number of reasons, really interested in people who aren't necessarily quite who they say they are. Like, people who kind of wear a character or kind of are shapeshifters. It's something that's really kind of fascinating to me. It's kind of a very magical skill in a sense. And I was really interested in watching a character who kind of has this ability but uses it for kind of nefarious reasons. And so I think a combination of kind of Nick being who he is as an actor and my interest in these kind of shapeshifter characters yielded this character of the Opportunist, somebody who has this really intense charisma and uses it in less than heroic ways, let's say. What was really nice about working with Nick is that because he lives one wall over from me, I can basically walk into his room, at any given moment, which he usually likes, with new script pages, just trying to kind of feel out what are his opinions about kind of who this guy is. Do you like, if I write the scene, do you feel like you can play the scene and say these words and have it make sense for the character? I think that we spent a lot of time rehearsing stuff that wasn't necessarily going to be in the movie, or kind of little details, like the way he walks and the way he smokes and the way he picks things up. Just trying to figure out who this guy is, what his background is. We gave him this tattoo and this scar to make him feel like he maybe has a different life before the suit and and the hair. And I think for Nick and I, we definitely have a very clear idea of who this person is and perhaps why he's doing what he's doing. But in a lot of ways, I think that those things were good for us to know, so that when it came to the world of the film, which is obviously just 15 minutes of this guy's world, we can be specific in our choices, but not necessarily have to telegraph everything. You get the impression this guy has a life outside this party, and it's kind of think we hope that that it's kind of intriguing enough that the audience is kind of trying to conjecture why or what is this guy's life outside this particular window. Yeah. Well, you know what? The script was 12 and a half pages, and I believe there is nothing that we cut from the script. There are a few moments, like the end of the scene in the bathroom at the very end. There's a moment where he turns to the sink and kind of slicks back his hair again. But we felt like when we saw that we'd already kind of seen him do that once or twice. It felt like we kind of had covered that character detail. But it's actually almost scene for scene and shot for shot kind of what we had written out. We wrote it over the course of about 2 months. Started writing it in November and wrote it into December. And then Alberto, our producer, said, let's start pre-production for beginning of January. So we basically we're in pre-production all of January. We shot the first 3 days of February and then started editing. And to me, I always say kind of a movie making to me is a little bit like making a piece of furniture, like making a chair. Like writing is like planting the seeds, and then like pre-production is like growing the trees, and then production is like chopping down the trees. And then you have like a bunch of wood, and you like have to make a chair. And you like, don't quite know what the chair's gonna look like. You don't want it to be a chair, but you just like kind of start like working with pieces of wood. And so to me, editing is one of my favorite parts. Probably my favorite part of making a movie, because then you have all these pieces of lumber in front of you, and you have to try to figure out how to kind of stick them together to make a chair, And so we edited for about 2 full months, and we were always kind of floating around the 13 and a half, 14-minute range. Just kind of trying to figure out, trying to find out the rhythms internally to make sure that it felt like it wasn't moving too fast or too slow. But I love stuff that moves quickly. I love editorial rhythms that kind of keep you a little bit off balance, especially with this film. It's like, I feel like you never want, as an audience member, never quite want to get comfortable with what he's doing. You're always a little bit, just a tiny bit behind what he's up to. So we'd often try to say, for example, cut away from an action before it was fully completed, so that we were on to the next thing before you would fully register,